Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. This week I'm going to be focusing on a little bit more engine bay disassembly, the AC hardline, one of the wiring harnesses, and preparation for the crash bar to install the intercooler, the horns, and the ambient air temp sensor, and of course explain some things along the way. Thanks. Okay, so I just want to do a quick recap on progress I've made so far. I mean, it's really basic stuff like, undo some of these brackets just to start making room for where things are going to change. I've taken off the bracket here, so unclipped the front hose, removed the bracket here, because this all needs to get moved out. It's going to have some new bracketry. The other part was down here. I've replaced the original bolt with a shortened head bolt. I'm assuming it's going to need clearance. I haven't torqued that down per the manual just yet because I'm still waiting to see whether I'm going to have to reinstall the idler pulley bracket with the idler pulley that then comes with the kit, because I'd previously done the delete. So it's going to really depend on where this hose eventually sits as to whether I can run the belt. I get a shorter belt and run it directly from here up to the new sort of supercharger belt location. But yeah, I suspect, given the way this thing's been designed and where this is going to end up, that I'm going to have to put that pulley back on just so it can then route down this way and then back up again, which is where it needs to get to, but we'll see. What else? I mean, obviously I've just removed my catch can just to make way there, space there as well. Down here, per instruction, just sort of remove the front crash bar and then also remove the horns. They say just to take care to make sure you don't put these back on the wrong terminals when they do eventually get reinstalled, because switching that around can blow a fuse. Obviously I've got aftermarket coolers here which will need to be relocated. These obviously aren't accounted for in the HKS kit, so they're not expecting that you've got these big aftermarket coolers. Like the standard power steering cooler is obviously much smaller, and with the kit comes a relocation set of brackets so that it ends up going upright and installs on the intercooler. I'm going to have to figure out something with this one. This is going to be a much bigger issue for me. Yeah, that's going to be a pain in the ass, because you've got power steering cooler, intercooler, you've got a supercharger oil cooler as well that goes down here, and then I've got to figure out somewhere that this is going to be able to fit in with all this too, not to mention piping. So I'm a bit concerned about how I'm going to manage that one. What else? Then the only other thing is, it's probably not that easy to see in here. I don't have my light handy, unfortunately. But it's to start to pull apart this bracket that would normally sit sort of along here, route down there in front of the wheel well. So yeah, part of their kit is to remove this and replace it with some of the ribbed bracket stuff. This is one of my homemade tools that, I don't know, people may have one of these anyway, but it's a bent flathead screwdriver, and it has been one of the most useful tools I've had in my entire set. I can't think of the amount of times this is like fixed a situation for me. Good example, I was messing around for 10 minutes here trying to get this clip off. Remembered I had this tool. Voila. So this is one of the parts of the job I've been dreading the most. It's really just a fear of the unknown, but having to bend this aircon hardline into the shape that they want. So basically, and I've already done a little bit here. As you can see, it's moved out of this clip down here, but basically they want you to put it into a shape where it's coming up and out of the way. So I guess the implication is that they want to use some of this space here that this would have been sitting in the way. So basically it's having to bend it up around here. Some part of the way there, and it's not been as bad as I thought it was going to be. I even bought a cheap pipe bender. But anyway, I hope I don't eat my words here and that this goes ahead without actually cracking the pipe, because that would be a disaster. So per instructions, this part of the bracket needed to come off to make space for the intercooler. I would have preferred to use the angle grinder, it would have been a lot quicker, but it was kind of an awkward space, so I just made do with the Dremel. Takes a lot longer, but you know, whatever, it fit. So we're finally onto the slightly more fun stuff. So this is actually starting to drill some holes and put in the rib nuts that are going to be used to mount the intercooler, relocate the horns and the ambient air temp sensor as well. Obviously they give you all the correct measurements for locating all of the holes, you know, where everything's going to sit in the first place. So it's a pretty simple case. Like, look, if you've got a ruler, definitely helps to have a square as well, just so you can keep things straight and accurate. All in all, it was a pretty simple job. So HKS don't actually give you the tool to install the rib nuts. I already had one of those cheap options you can get off Amazon. It's like $40 Australian delivered, so it's nothing. But if you're planning on doing any sort of basic modifications around your car or anything else, I'm sure there's plenty of other uses for it. Just buy one. They're so useful to have and they're pretty easy to use. Just pointing out here that I didn't actually have the right size drill bit to get to the perfect size for the rib nut, so I think I had to drill out to an 8mm hole and then use the Dremel just to open it up just to, you know, an extra sort of millimeter in diameter so I could actually fit the rib nuts in there.